was Glory Velez. So we start talking about relationship and how older dudes always want younger girls and stuff like that. And she brought up Aaron Hall. So she said, for light of a better words, having sex with me, and I was just 16 years old.
I was actually in the studio when he recorded that. We just started dating.
You are live.
Swear to God, 16.
I said, where did he meet you at? And she said, we met at a club. Weren't you supposed to be 21 years old in the club? And she said, yeah. I said, so when did he find out that you were 16 years old? She said, we was on the line at the airport in customs. He found that I was 16 years old. They wouldn't let me go to Jamaica with him. And I needed my parental consent in order to go to Jamaica. So I said, he think that you older than that. He just found out when y'all went to Jamaica? She said, yeah. I said, so how could you fault him? You in the club and it's 21 years. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't really know if this is my last time, but what I know is I'm feeling just fine. My life is like a red carpet, and I'm feeling like the richest millionaire. This is my local mayor, and I'm the biggest star around here.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail, more importantly, you got to see the clip. Go and get this book on Amazon. Dope book. We got to talk about it because all these stories have a story. Now, because I'm 44 now, and now you're kind of seeing the Me Too movement with people who were famous from the 90s to now. You're getting all these what happened back in the day stories, and people act like, for one, it wasn't a different time. It's the same thing that happened with Bill Cosby in a sense. But y'all are listening to these stories these people are having, and you forget that their stories have a story. So when you see what he's talking about with Gloria Velez or whatever, oh, Aaron Hall didn't know she was 16? No. These other guys didn't know these girls were underage until they found out, for the most part. You get what I'm saying? For the most part. So when y'all think, oh, people was out here just smashing teenagers, they were. Because the vast majority of these teenagers were presenting themselves as grown with fake IDs, being, when they're supposed to be in school or at home, they're in environments where it's like, yo, what are you, I didn't know, you out here messing with these little girls. This little girl was at a grown club. Like, how am I supposed to know? Y'all forget that even back in the day, there were girls who were strippers who were underage because they lied to the strip club. Just for the record. And I thought about what he was saying because all the things that the little stories people forget. Do y'all remember when Akon got in trouble for dancing with an underage girl in the club and he lost his sponsorships? It was like T-Mobile or Verizon or something like that in the 2000s. He was when he was a huge artist or whatever, right? He's still a huge artist, but I'm saying like during when he was on his run. And he was like, yo, this girl was at a grown club. I figured they carded her and knew that she was an adult. How am I supposed to know when I'm on the stage with her if she's in a 21 and up club that she ain't 21? You're not supposed to know. But then people go, oh, no, as a man, you should know. It's like, no. And part of what he was talking about how you going to fault this man for not, for sleeping when you were underage, when you were presenting as something else. And he didn't find out, basically the U.S. Customs had to tell him. She never told him. And when are we going to have these conversations about the reality of what was going on in certain time periods? Even when people talk about, and I think he's the same guy that was talking about Diddy and the drugs. He's drugging people and this, that, and the third. We're not about to act like people wasn't taking ecstasy in, 90s and 2000s. They were going out in parties, getting high on ecstasy, getting real freaky. We're not going to act like that never happened. So now when people turn around and go, oh, something was in my drink. No. A lot of y'all would going to parties and getting high like that because y'all wanted to get real freaky. I went to clubs and girls was was on that stuff, dancing on the dance floor. And thinking about it now, there was a time, I could have took a chick home, and I'm like, she on one, and I took a pill, because for all y'all who don't know, like when girls you take ecstasy, everything they were extra sensitive. You get what I'm saying? So they just touching them and dancing with them, it would really get them turned on because they would feel more. So you don't know how many of these ladies went home with people and had these sexual experiences, and then they woke up, because sometimes, if I'm not mistaken, you have memory loss because it depends on the type of pills people taking. I wasn't a drug user, but I hung around people who was doing that type of stuff, and they'd tell me, "Yo, yeah, this happened." Like, okay, I hear you, but you could have just had regular old sex. You ain't got to do all that extra stuff, but whatever. But we forget these stories have stories because people forget that part. Matter of fact, using that ecstasy thing. If all y'all, back in the 2000s, y'all was all reading that Corinne Steffens Video Vixen book, she was talking about, artists taking drugs and ecstasy and partying and having sex, and she was with them, right? But people forget how many other people was doing it. Same thing when he was talking about the Aaron Hall thing. I know, we want to, get on people like R. Kelly, but y'all might want to think about, how did all of these young girls wind up with these grown men? That's what y'all want to say. These grown men, for the most part, didn't know they was young girls. How many young girls y'all know ditched school and dressed up like an adult and came off like an adult because the interactions with these guys wasn't like, you act like they having these sit down conversations. No, she looked grown. And I'm gonna tell you, and people like, aren't you supposed to ask? Here's the issue. There's some young girls that look older than they are, and there's some older women who look younger than they are. So, there have been guys who've like, I'm such and such. Like, you look like a kid. You ain't. And then they had to show you your ID. And then it's like, okay, dang, you just look young. Okay. And then there's the women, the girls who like, okay, she got to be grown. Look, she looked grown. And then somebody got to tell you, oh, she's da 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 da. Y'all forget in the 90s or 2000s when Music Soul Child made the song with 16 or 17 on his first album. Girl was flirting with him. He thought it was a grown woman. He found out she was a teenager. Lil Wayne did a remix of it on a mixtape. So when we think about those eras of how people were getting down with other people, and people are kind of come back and me tooing people or trying to, it's the same thing that I saw with the Cameron situation with Melissa Ford. She just had to insinuate, oh, you went to a let me see, a brothel, and y'all was young doing some wild stuff with these prostitutes, but maybe these girls was underage. It's like, oh, time out. You just threw that in there. And she didn't like the accusations. You got to remember when Game dissed and couldn't get far. But and so she didn't like it when it was done to her, but she gonna turn around 10, 15 years later and do it to somebody else. It's these stories have stories. I'm not, forget all this believe all women. I ain't even worried about all that part. What I'm trying to tell y'all is don't get it twisted, because some of these people who are around know the rest of the story. They're just not telling you that because it's salacious on television to say, oh, this person's a bad person because when we were hanging out, they were doing X, Y, and Z. But they're not going to tell you they were doing X, Y, and Z too. That's the issue. And some of y'all don't, it doesn't matter what a person does. If they lied and manipulated and cheated their way into a situation, the other person should have known better. No, they shouldn't have, because they lied. You know what I'm saying? That's why you lie to people, so they don't know the truth. Like, but I'm gonna leave it at that, man. You tell me what y'all think, man. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pillow at night, know I gave you everything I had.